Hello sports fans, it is Monday, September the 22nd, the year 2014, and as always, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Great to be back with you guys. Hope you had a nice weekend. Hope you caught some of the games over the weekend. Let's recap what went on in the sports world the last few days. Let's start in the NFL. Let's start up in Buffalo, where the San Diego Chargers beat the Buffalo Bills 22-10. Chargers up to 2-1, Bills down to 2-1. I'll tell you, I like the way San Diego is playing. They had the tough loss in Week 1 to Arizona, rebounded with the big win against Seattle. Now they go up to Buffalo and beat the Buffalo Bills. Really nice job by San Diego. They're starting to play some good defense. The coaching staff laid the groundwork last year, starting to pay dividends. They can make some stops now, San Diego. We know they have that high-flying offense with Rivers and Gates and all those receivers. They can now make stops, and that makes all the difference. San Diego is a legitimate contender this year to do some things. I really like the way they are playing. They can play with anyone. As far as Buffalo, listen, they played a dreadful game here. They had too many penalties. They were just never in this game. I thought this game was going to be a little more competitive. It was pretty much San Diego from start to finish. Hey, I don't want to kill Buffalo. They're 2-1. They won their first two games, but they were not good at all yesterday and way too many penalties. So San Diego gets the win up in Buffalo. Let's go to St. Louis, where the Dallas Cowboys rally and beat the St. Louis Rams 34-31. Dallas up to 2-1. St. Louis down to 1-2. Before you even could blink, St. Louis is up 21-0 in this game, and you're like, is Dallas going to lose to St. Louis? I was ready to kill Dallas today if they lost to St. Louis. Dallas, sure enough, though, came storming back, took the lead. They ended up holding on, so nice come-from-behind win by Dallas. Dallas is still very up and down. Their defense is very, very shaky. They are 2-1. They do get the job done here. And as far as St. Louis, listen, we don't expect a lot from St. Louis. They're playing their third-string quarterback. Long is out. They did play hard yesterday. I like Fisher as the coach, but they need all kinds of work, so Dallas gets the win yesterday. All right, let's go to Philadelphia, where the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Washington Redskins 37-34. Philly remains perfect. They go up to 3-0. Washington down to 1-2. This was one of the games of the day. Wild and woolly game, back and forth, brawls, ejections. I mean, Washington, 500 yards of total offense. Cousins, 420 yards passing. Foles for Philly, 325 yards passing. I mean, offense left and right. I mean, Philadelphia is a very explosive team. They can change the game on a dime. Remember, they're down 17 points at the half to Jacksonville in Week 1. They explode in the second half. They're down 14 points to the Colts in the second half. They explode there and end up stealing that game. And again, yesterday, they're trailing Washington, but they're so explosive. Their offense is a handful. I mean, to me, Philadelphia is the best team in that division. They're better than Dallas. They're better than Washington. They're better than Giants. I think Philadelphia is a definite playoff team. As far as Washington, listen, I like RG3, but with him hurt, I think Cousins is the guy. Cousins is more of a pocket passer. It seems Washington, the coaching staff, wants a pocket passer. They want to make RG3 a pocket passer. He's not. Cousins is more of that pocket passer, so they might have the right quarterback for the way they want to play. Still, I don't expect a lot from Washington. We'll keep an eye on them. We'll keep an eye on Cousins. I don't think that Washington's going to have a big year, though. Philadelphia, very, very explosive team. They get the win. All right, let's go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey, not too far from here, where the New York Giants beat the Houston Texans 30-17. Giants up to 1-2. Houston down to 2-1. I had a feeling the Giants were going to win this game. Everything on paper pointed to Houston. I had a feeling the Giants were going to win and show some pride with Eli, with Coughlin. Now, I still don't think the Giants are a very good team. They still may go 7-9, but if they lost this game with their schedule, they were going like 4-12 this year. So they had to have this game. They responded in a big way. They led pretty much from start to finish. They played a really nice home game, so nice job by the Giants there, showing some pride. As far as Houston, I don't want to kill them. They didn't play well yesterday, but they are 2-1. They have matched their win total from a year ago. Would have liked to see Houston play a little better on defense yesterday. Didn't play as good on defense as they did the first 2 weeks, but I'm not going to kill Houston. They are 2-1. Giants get the win yesterday. Let's go to the Superdome in Louisiana, one of my favorite stadiums with all those crazy fans down there, where the New Orleans Saints beat the Minnesota Vikings 20-9. New Orleans gets in the win column there, 1-2. Minnesota drops to 1-2. The Saints were winning this game 13-0 early in the game. I thought the Saints were going to explode for about 30, 40 points in this game. They didn't. Wasn't the typical Saint great performance on offense. They did just enough to win. Minnesota's got no offense. I mean, Peterson is out. He may be out the rest of this year. His career may be over. Minnesota doesn't have much else. Castle is now out at quarterback. They're going with the rookie, Bridgewater. We'll see if he can develop. I liked him in college. We'll see what he can do in the pros. Not much to work with here with this Viking team. So the Vikings only 9 points yesterday. Saints did what they had to do. They win 20-9. Let's go to Cincinnati, where the Cincinnati Bengals stomp all over the Tennessee Titans, 33-7. Cincinnati remains perfect. They go to 3-0. Tennessee drops to 1-2. Cincinnati is one of the best teams in the AFC. Make no mistake about it. We got to see if Dalton can do it in a big spot in a playoff game. Cincinnati has all the pieces. They have a defense that can stop you. We think have the big quarterback. They have the big receiver. I like Cincinnati's team. They have a good home field advantage, and they are just laying it on teams the first few weeks of this NFL season. This game was never close. It was all Cincinnati. Cincinnati, very impressive through the first 3 weeks of the year. Tennessee, what happened to them? They looked so good in week 1 against Kansas City. They look awful the last 2 weeks, so danger time for Tennessee. Could be a long year for them. They got drubbed the last 2 weeks. Cincinnati remains perfect. Let's go to Cleveland, the Dog Pound, one of my favorite stadiums in all of the NFL, where the Baltimore Ravens beat the Cleveland Browns 23-21. Baltimore up to 2-1. Cleveland down to 1-2. Baltimore with a big field goal with no time left in the game. Cleveland had their chances in this game. They missed 2 big field goals in this game. Cleveland, that came back to haunt them. Cleveland also had the ball with about 2 minutes to go. They needed 1 first down. They could have ran out the clock. They couldn't do it. Had to punt the ball back to Baltimore. From there, Smith makes the big catch, sets up the game-winning field goal. Baltimore just knows how to win. They just do. They know how to win. They do a great job with personnel, good coaching staff. Baltimore knows how to win these type of games. Cleveland is going to have to learn how to win these type of games. I like what Cleveland is doing. They're starting to put together a decent team. I love the fan base there. They have some talent, Cleveland. I think the future is bright. This was a heartbreaking loss yesterday, but Cleveland's starting to get there. Just got to get over the hump. Baltimore gets the win yesterday. Let's go to Detroit, where the Detroit Lions beat the Green Bay Packers 19-7. Detroit up to 2-1. Green Bay down to 1-2. Let's start with Green Bay first. Green Bay 223 total yards. What's going on with Green Bay? I'll tell you what's going on. Their offensive line is not good at all. I don't like what Green Bay's offensive line is doing at all. You can't protect the quarterback. You can't give Rodgers time to throw. He's not going to be able to do some things. I mean, Green Bay 7 points. When have you seen Green Bay put up 7 points with Rodgers in that offense? So really, really bad stuff from Green Bay. And remember, Green Bay's only win this year was against the Jets at home, and they were down 21-3 in that game. Do not like what I see at all from Green Bay early in the season. Remember, the NFC is loaded. Danger time for Green Bay. We'll keep an eye on them the next few weeks of the season. Detroit, typical of them. One great game, one bad game, another great game. That's Detroit, up, down. They have to be more consistent. They were horrible in Carolina last week. They were great here yesterday against Green Bay. Detroit have to be more consistent. They have the talent. Let's go down to Jacksonville, where the Indianapolis Colts plaster the Jacksonville Jaguars 44-17. Colts get their first win. They're up to 1-2. Jacksonville down to 0-3. Jacksonville looks like they have set football back 1,000 years the last couple of weeks. Remember, Jacksonville the first week of the year was up 17-0 at the half against Philadelphia. They ended up getting plastered in that game. They get bombed last week, and they get bombed this week. Jacksonville could be 1-15 this year. They look awful. Now, Bortles did come in to play quarterback. He's their number 1 draft pick. We'll see if he can do anything. They're kind of throwing him to the wolves. I mean, they don't have a lot of talent to work with Jacksonville. We'll see if Bortles can put something together, give some sort of excitement to that fan base down there in Jacksonville. They have nothing to root for. They are a dreadful team to watch. I mean, they're just getting whacked week after week. So, terrible stuff from the Jaguars. As far as the Colts, you knew they were going to respond. They were 0-2. They're a good team. They blew the game to Philly the other night. You knew they were going to respond and have a big game here. They were not going 0-3, so the Colts just whacked Jacksonville. Let's go up to New England, where the New England Patriots beat the Oakland Raiders 16-9. Patriots up to 2-1. Raiders down to 0-3. Yawn. This was a yawn fest. New England was sleepwalking most of this game. I mean, they were not into this game at all. Give Oakland's defense credit. They played hard. I thought Tuck played well. I thought the front four, Oakland created a lot of havoc for Brady, put a lot of pressure on Brady. Oakland's defense played hard. They just don't have the offensive weapons. They can't score, Oakland. They've done nothing offensively in 3 weeks. New England, what a yawn fest from them. Did just enough to get by in this game, but New England's got to pick up their play. I mean, they played an awful game yesterday. They barely escaped at home against Oakland, so wasn't impressed with New England. They did get the win, though. Let's go out to the desert in Arizona, where the Arizona Cardinals beat the San Francisco 49ers 23-14. Arizona stays perfect. They are 3-0. Niners down to 1-2. Remember, no Palmer yesterday for Arizona. Stanton filled in, did a nice job. San Francisco's on 14-6 at the half in this game, and you're figuring, San Francisco's going to play a big game here. They're going to beat Arizona with their backup quarterback, and what happens in the second half? Arizona just laid the wood on San Francisco, dominated the second half. San Francisco, how many dumb penalties did they take? Personal foul after personal foul after personal foul. I mean, it was tough to watch. San Francisco now 1-2. They are 2.5 games already behind Arizona for the division. They've already lost to them. They're already a game behind Seattle. Remember, the NFC is loaded, and San Francisco has Super Bowl aspirations. They have a lot of guys out on defense, San Francisco. Do not like what I see at all from the 49ers, and I love Harbaugh. I love their team. Right now, they are very shaky. Now, last year they were shaky also. They couldn't score. Remember that? They started to put it together at the end of the year. They almost beat Seattle. They were a hair away from beating Seattle in the playoffs and getting to the Super Bowl. So there is time. But right now, San Francisco has played back-to-back bad games. So bad job by them. And how many dumb penalties. Terrible job by the Niners yesterday. Arizona, really, really nice job. 3-0. They've won 2 games without their starting quarterback. Arizona can play defense. They can do some things on offense. Arizona is a solid team. They were solid last year. They were just in a really tough division like they are this year. But they are off to a hot start this year. They lead the division this year. Arizona 3-0, looking really good. Let's go out to Seattle, where the Seattle Seahawks beat the Denver Broncos 26-20 in overtime. Seattle up to 2-1, Denver down to 2-1. I'll tell you, Seattle is up 17-3 in this game in the second half. You're like, this game is over. Denver can't move the ball from here to there. Then Seattle starts to get sloppy. Denver gets a safety to make it 17-5. I'm sorry, even before the safety, Seattle missed a field goal. They could have gone up 20-3, miss a field goal. Then Denver gets a safety to make it 17-5. Then Seattle throws a terrible interception. Wilson throws a bad interception. That leads to a score for Denver. That makes it 17-12, and the game is starting to get tight in Seattle. It's starting to make a lot of mistakes. Denver's defense is starting to play well. From there, though, Peyton Manning has a bad interception. Seattle kicks a field goal, go up 20-12 with less than a minute to go. You're like, Denver is not getting down the field with less than a minute to go with no timeouts. Sure enough, they do. I don't know what Seattle's defense was doing at the end of this game, giving Denver big play after big play down the sidelines. I don't know what Seattle's defense was doing, and we all love Seattle's defense. They were lost on that last drive. Denver scores. They get the 2-point conversion to tie the game at 20, and we go to overtime. All the momentum is with Denver, but what happens? Seattle gets the ball first, and they do what great teams do. They do what champions do. They take the ball, they march down the field, stick it in the end zone, win the game, and don't let Peyton Manning back on the field again. That's what champions do. So Seattle, even though they got sloppy in the fourth quarter, they did respond in overtime. Not going to kill Denver here. Hey, they lost the game, but they did rally. They did play well in the fourth quarter. The defense showed me some stuff. They could have easily been blown out in this game. So Denver did do a nice job, even though they fall a little short. Seattle gets the win. Let's go down to Miami, where the Kansas City Chiefs just maul the Miami Dolphins 34-15. Kansas City up to 1-2. Miami down to 1-2. Let's start with Miami first. What's going on with them? They beat New England week 1. They're flying high. They look good. Then they get bombed at Buffalo, and they get bombed back here by Kansas City, who didn't have any wins this year. So Miami, 2 dreadful performances back-to-back. And hey, can the fans in Miami please show up to the game? So many empty seats down there in Miami. And I know there's a lot of things to do in Miami, and a lot of people that live in Miami aren't Dolphin fans. Please, there's enough Dolphin fans to fill that building. I want to see that building full. I want to see all these empty seats down there in Miami. They had no home field advantage yesterday. Kansas City did whatever they wanted to do. Now, Kansas City, after being bombed in week 1, they played better out in Denver in week 2. Could have won that game, fell a little short, and played really well here yesterday, Kansas City. So Kansas City has done a nice job the last couple of weeks. They are 1-2. Miami, awful the last couple of weeks. Not impressed with them at all. Let's go to the Sunday night game last night, where the Pittsburgh Steelers just stomp out the Carolina Panthers, 37-19. Pittsburgh up to 2-1. Carolina down to 2-1. I didn't see this coming. I didn't see Pittsburgh putting up 37 points. Pittsburgh hadn't scored a touchdown in 8 quarters. All of a sudden, they put up 37 points against Carolina, who was playing great D the first 2 weeks. So Pittsburgh just exploded last night. I mean, really nice performance by them. They did take a lot of injuries last night, Pittsburgh. It looks like Ike Taylor's going to be out 8 weeks. They lost a couple other guys. We'll see how long they're out. So Pittsburgh did take a lot of injuries, especially on defense last night. Pittsburgh's schedule gets soft the next few weeks. They got Tampa, Jacksonville, a lot of home games. So Pittsburgh could go on a run here despite the injuries. They looked really good last night, Pittsburgh. Carolina, wow, they laid an egg last night. They looked really good the first 2 weeks. Were 2-0. They were just flat as a pancake last night. I mean, they just got blown out of their own building. And Carolina, unlike Pittsburgh, Carolina's schedule gets really hard like the next 6 weeks. They have a really tough schedule, so keep an eye on Carolina with that tough schedule. See if they can get past that. And as far as the Thursday night game in Atlanta just tattooed Tampa Bay 56-14. Atlanta up to 2-1. Tampa Bay down to 0-3. Tampa Bay looks like one of the worst teams in football. I mean, this game was over in the first quarter. I thought Atlanta was going to score 80 points at one point. I mean, that's how bad it got. Tampa Bay looked lost. They're lost at the quarterback position. Now they don't play any defense. They don't have a lot of weapons. They are an absolute mess, Tampa Bay. I'd be shocked if they won 2 games. Atlanta, we know they're a solid team. We know they're a playoff contender. We know they can play at home. They just beat up on Tampa Bay in the Thursday night game. That game was one of the worst games in the history of Thursday night football. So that was your recap as far as the games in the NFL. Of course, tonight you have the big Chicago Bear New York Jet game in the Meadowlands. That's a very tough game. Could go either way. That's where you are in your NFL. Real quickly on the college football over the weekend. Once again, it wasn't a great week in college football. The Florida State game did become a good game because Winston ended up being suspended for the whole game. Florida State escapes. They beat Clemson 23-17 in overtime. Clemson had 4 billion chances to win this game. I mean, Clemson was inside the Florida State 20 like 7 times, couldn't get anything done, so a terrible loss by Clemson. I do like the freshman quarterback that came in the game for Clemson, so they have their quarterback of the future, but this was a dreadful loss. I mean, they had so many chances to win this game, let it slip right through their fingers. Florida State escaped. Make no mistake about it. With Winston gone the whole game, you knew they were going to be in trouble. They did escape. Now they get Winston back. Look for Florida State to roll the rest of the way. Oregon hung on and won at Washington State. Very unimpressive win by Oregon. Typical Oregon. They look great at home, and they kind of just don't look the same on the road. Their defense still isn't championship contender. We know they could score, but are they going to be able to do it in the trenches on defense in a big spot, especially if they get to that Final Four playoff? So Oregon hung on to beat Washington State. Bama trounced Florida. We kind of knew that was going to happen. It was close early. Alabama pulled away late. Oklahoma, same thing. They pulled away from West Virginia. No surprise there. Mississippi State, I was on this game last week. Mississippi State went into LSU and upset LSU. I was all over that game last week. I don't think this is one of LSU's better teams. Mississippi State, definitely an improving team. Indiana upset Missouri. I was very surprised about that. BYU beat Virginia. Look for BYU to go undefeated this year, but not get into the Final Four playoff because they don't have a good schedule. But BYU probably will go undefeated. Marshall might go undefeated as well, but those 2 teams are going to be left out. They just don't have the schedule to get into the Final Four playoff. How about the game in Tucson, Arizona over the weekend? Arizona beat Cal on a Hail Mary with no time left, 49-45. Arizona is down in this game 31-13 in the fourth quarter, and they put up 36 points in the fourth quarter, including the Hail Mary, so Arizona stays unbeaten. What a terrible loss by Cal. And on Thursday night, Auburn hung on and beat Kansas State. Kansas State shot themselves in the foot a million times in this game, so Auburn escaped in that game. Wasn't a great week in college football, and I'll tell you, this week is light too. This week, I think College Game Day is going to be in Columbia, South Carolina, for South Carolina and Missouri. Both teams have a loss, and Missouri just lost at home to Indiana. That's where they're going for College Game Day. There's not much going on in college football this weekend. It's been like that most of September. Now, I think it's going to pick up, but College Game Day, South Carolina and Missouri off a Missouri loss, ouch, another tough week in college football. As far as the baseball goes, last week of the baseball season, so the pennant races are winding down. As far as the American League, the Angels and Baltimore are in the playoffs. Detroit is a game and a half up over Kansas City for the division. As far as the wild card, Oakland has the first wild card. Kansas City has the second wild card. Seattle, game and a half back, 2 out in the loss column. Seattle's got to make their move right now. As far as the National League, Washington, the Dodgers, and St. Louis are all going to win their division. They're just jockeying for position to see who has best record. And it looks like Pittsburgh and San Francisco will be your 2 wild card teams in the National League. So we are heading down the home stretch in baseball. As far as tonight in baseball, you got the White Sox at Detroit, Kansas City, huge doubleheader against Cleveland, Seattle at Toronto, huge game, Angels at Oakland. All those games have playoff implications, so it is now or never for some of these teams in baseball. So definitely keep an eye on the baseball tonight, as well as the big Bear-Jet Monday Night Football game. Okay, you guys are all caught up. You guys are all set. Like I said, Monday Night Football tonight. Baseball pennant races tonight. Tomorrow, NFL picks wall to wall. I may throw in my college picks tomorrow, or may just touch on some of the bigger games in college football. It's such a bad week in college football. I'm not going to be able to find much. So I'm going to do pro picks tomorrow and maybe some college picks as well. I'll at least touch on some of the bigger games in college football. And we'll touch on the Ryder Cup, which comes up this week as well. So you guys are all set. You guys enjoy the games tonight. Enjoy your Monday Night Football. Stay safe. I'll be back with you tomorrow. NFL picks, and we'll touch on the college football. Talk to you tomorrow, Tuesday. Take care.